Prince William is reportedly considering taking a notable step regarding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and the move is said to be more significant than anything discussed before. Although nothing has been officially announced, information circulating from within the palace suggests that he may soon make an important decision about the royal title the couple continues to hold, even though they stepped away from their official royal responsibilities quite some time ago. Even though they had previously expressed their intention to step back from their official roles and no longer rely on certain royal privileges, Meghan Markle has still been noted using her HRH title, which has sparked questions about whether that promise will be fully honored. So how might Prince William choose to approach this situation moving forward? Let us know your thoughts. Leave a comment with a 1 if you understand this perspective, or a 0 if you see things differently. We'd love to hear from you. And remember to like and subscribe so you won't miss what happens next, as we continue uncovering the details behind this unfolding story. Inside Westminster, through the ancient stone corridors that have witnessed wars, abdications, and centuries of political turmoil, quiet murmurs began to spread that something significant was about to unfold in the Senate. The walls of the world's oldest legislative chamber, walls that had remained steady through countless moments of triumph and crisis, now carried whispers unlike the usual political chatter. These rumors weren't about everyday debates or upcoming elections, but about a major shift that seemed to be approaching. The entire chamber, where centuries of tradition are woven into the oak benches and historic statutes, found itself anticipating a move unlike anything seen before. This title, once seen as a symbol of dignity and long-standing tradition, is now viewed by some as something being used in ways that blur its original purpose. Meghan's choices have led her down a different path, one that, according to commentators, has pushed both the royal family and the British government to confront a situation they had never expected to face. Few could have imagined that a royal title might one day spark debate in meeting rooms and even raise questions in legal discussions. With that realization, members of the House of Lords felt that delaying any further consideration was no longer an option. Many now believe that the royal media protocol has fallen behind the times compared to what modern nations typically follow. The stated goal of this petition, according to those discussing it, is to remove Meghan Markle's title as the Duchess of Sussex on a permanent basis. To many involved, this isn't seen as a small or symbolic gesture, and it's not just casual speculation either. This is how the system's concerns are being expressed, and the message feels unmistakably firm. Behind the scenes, senior figures describe the moment as one of the most significant since the so-called Mexit period. A portion of Parliament appears to have reached a breaking point, and the quiet whispers circulating through Westminster for months are now taking a more defined shape. Even though public reactions remain mixed, it's clear that the political debate surrounding this issue is growing more heated and more intense. From their point of view, Meghan appeared to be carrying out the duties of a royal representative without the formal authority or responsibilities that normally come with such a role. Images of her meeting with senior Nigerian officials spread across the world, creating the impression of official support that, according to critics, had never actually been granted. For those responsible for safeguarding the country's diplomatic boundaries, seeing a duchess function in a way that resembled an ambassador was enough to raise concern. That moment, more than any interview, public event, or brand partnership, became the turning point that set everything into motion. What began as quiet murmurs has now grown into a widely discussed topic, revealing a clear divide within Parliament. At this stage, it's no longer viewed as a simple disagreement over a title. Instead, it has become a firm and ongoing struggle, with each side standing solidly behind its own position. Some MPs continue to voice support for Meghan, saying she should keep her title based on what they see as her positive contributions. Meanwhile, many others argue that the actions of Meghan and Harry have diminished respect for the institution and created concerns about the royal family's public image. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry haven't just stirred controversy within the royal family. Their actions are also seen by some as directly affecting the institution and shaking public confidence in a system already sensitive to change. Behind closed doors, secret meetings took place, not only in the royal living rooms, but also in the shadowed halls of Parliament. The idea of revoking Meghan's title emerged as a decisive measure intended to protect the integrity of the monarchy. For the first time, many observers feel that British leadership is sending a clear message. This situation can no longer be ignored or tolerated. No government department responsible for state diplomacy was involved. Neither the palace nor the Foreign Office had been informed, consulted, or briefed about the trip. It went ahead as if the Sussexes still held official roles within the royal framework, as if their duties had somehow continued despite their formal departure. For members of the House of Lords, this wasn't just inappropriate, it was considered dangerous. Behind closed doors, the language was strong and unambiguous. An unauthorized diplomatic act, a potential threat to the neutrality of the monarchy, and a breach of constitutional expectations. The Lords concluded that when a private citizen uses a royal title in a way that resembles international diplomacy, the consequences go far beyond media attention. They can impact national interests. And when those interests are at stake, the British Parliament is unlikely to remain passive. This trip didn't just irritate those in power, it provoked a reaction. It transformed quiet whispers into a clear statement. A line had been crossed, and the title of Duchess of Sussex could no longer be taken lightly. After all, royal titles are far more than decorative labels. They carry weight, responsibility, and significance within the system. For the first time, many within the British establishment aren't just frustrated. They appear ready to take real action. At that moment, one thing became unmistakably clear. This was no longer simply a disagreement between a family and two of its more independent members. It had evolved into what many now view as a national concern. The machinery of British influence began to move, and from the outside, it seemed to be shifting in a direction that worked against them. Here's what observers say truly unfolded. The royal family, the political sphere, and other influential groups across the country all understood that if the situation continued unchecked, the consequences might soon fall outside their control. Royal titles are not just ceremonial. They are constitutional instruments, safeguarded by laws that long predate the age of modern celebrity. When the Lords examined Meghan's public actions, they felt they were confronting the very legal core of the monarchy. The Royal Titles Act of 1917, a law enacted during World War I to prevent the misuse, commercialization, or personal exploitation of noble titles outside the monarchy's authority, suddenly became a central focus of the discussion. Legal experts, those advising ministers rather than media outlets, quietly began suggesting that Meghan's public use of her Duchess title in connection with her media projects could be seen as a potential breach of that law. Once Parliament started examining whether the law had been properly followed, the discussion went far beyond ceremonial matters. It became a question of constitutional compliance. According to sources, this legal perspective formed the basis of the petition. While the trip to Nigeria had raised diplomatic concerns, it was the Royal Titles Act of 1917 that ultimately brought the legal dimension into the conversation. The House of Lords now faces a challenging decision. Either turn a blind eye to what some see as the growing misuse of noble titles, or enforce the laws that have defined royal identity for more than a century. For the first time in Meghan's public story, legal accountability is no longer just theoretical. One factor that seems to unite critics in Parliament is the expanding business enterprise built around the Sussex name. This isn't speculation or gossip, it's reflected in business filings, marketing materials, and international media contracts that clearly leverage the Duchess's title. It all began with the Netflix deal, a multi-million-dollar partnership that launched with a documentary featuring the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, not as a simple courtesy, not as a minor detail, but as the visual centerpiece of the opening frame, highlighted in the traditional royal font that immediately drew attention. For members of the Lords, this was far more than entertainment. It was a carefully crafted branding move. After that came Spotify, followed by Arkwell, each venture further building a commercial empire around the Sussex name. Then there was the attempt to register the Sussex royal trademark for global use, a step that some saw as turning a royal title into an international brand. If you want to understand how a modern royal family can transform nearly every public move into a branding strategy, be sure to leave a comment, hit like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you can follow these fascinating and dramatic stories with us every step of the way. An official petition, written in the formal language of the Constitution, was formally entered into the records. This was no temporary draft or ordinary request. Presented to some of the highest-ranking members of government, the petition carried the weight of history and was crafted with careful attention, underscoring the seriousness of the matter. It wasn't merely a response to growing public debate, it was a legal maneuver with the potential to shift the course of events, forcing everyone to take a closer look at the power of royal titles and the ways in which they are being used.